Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is project update on the Navarre Park restrooms. I'm going to let Mr. Gomillion address that. I believe he has some slides to put up.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and Mr. Blaylock will queue up. We had some Google Earth. These are Google Earth photos, just so that you're aware. They're not photos that we took this week. And what I've done is directed by the board. We met with the Mr. Dabney and several other volunteers were present on the 19th. We went through a sort of a laundry list of discussion items to try to, as you had directed, try to find a way to move this forward. And I do have a detailed list of those discussions in your backup. I've tried to encapsulate that into 6 points on the memo that I provided you. And I'll just walk through those if it's okay with the board and real quickly discuss those 6 items that we'd like for the board to acknowledge so that we feel confident in the way we move forward. First of all, the project, as we've determined, would be best located on the western end of the property. The yellow does not particularly depict the exact location. It would actually be located closer to the sidewalk. There are a number of reasons that we concluded that it would be best. Initially, the staff had, in the early stages months ago, and the staff just talking about an internal project and talking with the Parks Department, there was a discussion about locating closer to the visitor center. This location is higher ground, the highest ground in the park. It is out of the flood zone, which would allow for us to have, it also is a larger space. It will allow for us to have adequate space to build the size building that we're looking at building. It would allow the building to be constructed on grade, and which would certainly make the access issues easier in terms of the ADA requirements and just the general access to the building. And we believe that by building out of the flood zone, then at grade, we can still ensure this building, whereas if we were to build it below the floodplain, most likely we would not be able to insure the building if you built it closer. The second point that I reference is just the size of the building that has been discussed is a 30 by 50 building. In meeting and discussing with the volunteers, we had discussed a preference for a concrete block type building. Since we are going to move the building, or at least the proposed location is to the west, we've discussed utilizing treated materials, a hardy board exterior, metal roof, tiling the interior walls, and to use the epoxied concrete floor. Also using primarily the stainless steel fixtures, touchless dispensers and fixtures, and the facility would be air conditioned and heated. As far as kind of the designation of the duties, the volunteer group would provide the design services. They're going to provide a contractor to pull the permits and help oversee the project. They would provide the labor for the project. The county would provide, we're going to provide a site plan which helps pull everything together. We would provide the grade we would desire for the building to be built at. We would provide for the utility connections and specifications, that design for both the sewer and for the electrical services and plumbing services, the utility services needed. Item number 4, in order to maintain the safety and security during this project construction, we would recommend that the westernmost pavilion that you see in the photograph there be closed during this construction, and we would use some sort of security fencing, either the orange plastic fencing, or if needed, a heavier fencing to secure around this site during the construction phase. Our 5th bullet would be that the county would purchase the materials we would that are not donated. There may very well be some donated materials. Our procurement process would follow our normal process. We would ask our building maintenance department to go through what they normally do when they're working on buildings, county buildings. Receiving quotes would be a typical way to do that from our local vendors for the various products needed, and so we would accomplish the purchases through the county system. And then finally, the county, when we had done an initial very preliminary budget number, we came up with a $60,000 number for materials. I'm not sure we captured all the internal features of the building. The volunteer group thought that number may reach as 90 to 100,000. So just for discussion, and since the county is going to be in charge of the project in terms of the procurement, it'd be our recommendation if you're willing to establish a $100,000 budget for this project, and then of course we will report back the actual expenditures for those materials. These items sort of give us a general track to run on and move this project forward, and we would be glad to change or amend this as you see the need.
Thank you,
Any
Mr.
questions?
Any comments from the board? Commissioner Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really like this project, and it seems to have started something, because we're getting that type of input now from at Henderson Park, or the other park that we have for our handicap, where citizens and different groups are starting to want to get more involved. So I'm hoping that this is going to kind of set us like a template for how we can do these type of things, where we set that money aside, and then as these projects start to more or less develop a life of their own, you see more and more input. I talked to James just the other day, and he had a company said that they'd provide a $2,000 lighting package. It's all LED. I've been talking to a friend of mine that has Compass Solar, and he's giving some consideration to possibly a solar hot water heating system. We've talked to Lowe's about the tile for the inside. So I think once people in the community see that this is starting to happen, they want a piece of the pie. So I can only appreciate what's going on here. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Comments from the public? Yes.
Romy White again. I just want to speak on behalf of other parents of small children to say it would be fantastic if the bathrooms could be closer. If you might want to just reach out to your user groups, you'll find that the parents that use the park and the splash pad and visit to see the ducks, and even some of the people who are older and they attend the concerts on Thursday nights, it's very cumbersome to have to walk to the other end of the park to use the bathroom. So even if the bathrooms had to be maybe a little bit smaller, or even if you built two facilities, one on the eastern side and one on the western side, it's just food for thought from a parent of a young daughter. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and Roger, if you can, and I appreciate that. I do know that there's an interest. If you can come back to those slides real quick, and I'll just give you the kind of the picture there. Yes, the next one's, yeah, if you'll look in the center of the top photograph, you'll see the area that was initially discussed west of the visitor center. It would be probably too small of an area for us to get that size building. Also, you've got a ditch that comes down through there, near there, so the property starts falling off and is a lower elevation, as well as the shoreline kind of reaches in toward you at that location. So we have several things that doesn't mean we can't do it. It just those are the areas of concern. You're looking at that same area sort of head on there in the lower picture. So what Romy mentioned is certainly we recognize, and we talked about that with the volunteers. And again, staff's initial focus was to kind of look in that area. If you can go to that third picture, Roger, you'll see where the floodplain, how the flood elevations are in that area. And so, again, that particular graphic helped me decide that it was probably a good thing to try to go ahead and get it moved on down and kind of meet the best option. There are a lot of people, I understand, use the park during a lot of events. The larger bathrooms would accommodate those large crowds, but we will proceed as the board directs us.
And I'd just like to add that these will be in addition to the permanent bathrooms that already exist inside the county's building there at the chamber. So those facilities will be open as well during these high use hours and during the nighttime events as well, the Thursday nights in the park and such. We can coordinate that. But the point's well made, and we're considering that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. Unless there are any other questions, then I'll move this to Thursday to approve the, we need approval on Thursday? Okay, move this
Yes.
to Thursday without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.